Our creepy story begins in 1970, when a mother purchased an antique Raggedy Ann doll from a hobby store. The doll had been a birthday present for her daughter, Donna. Donna was preparing to graduate from college with a nursing degree. She lived in a small apartment with her roommate, Angie. Donna placed it on her bed as a decoration and didn't give it a second thought. Within days, both Donna and Angie noticed that there appeared to be something very strange and creepy about the doll. The doll mysteriously seemed to move about the house in relatively small movements at first, such as a shift in position, but as time went on, the movement grew more evident. Donna and Angie would come home to find the doll in a completely different room. Sometimes the doll would be found with legs crossed, arms folded. Other times it would be found upright, standing on its feet. Several times Donna sometimes left the doll on the couch before leaving for work, and would return to find the doll back in her room on the bed with the door closed. Annabelle not only moved, but could write as well. Eerily, about a month into their experiences, Donna and Angie began to find messages on parchment paper that read, "Help us," and "Help Lou." The handwriting appeared as if written by a small child. The creepy part about the messages was not the wording, but the way they were written. Donna had never stored parchment paper on which the messages were written in her home, so where did it come from? Donna returned home one night to discover that the doll had relocated again, this time onto her bed. Donna had come to find that this was typical of the doll, but somehow she knew this time it was different. Something wasn't right. A sense of fear came over her when she inspected the doll and saw what looked like blood drops on the back of its hands and its chest. Seemingly from nowhere, a liquidy red substance had appeared on the doll. Scared and desperate, Donna and Angie decided it was time to seek expert advice. Not knowing else where to turn, they contacted a psychic and performed a seance. Donna was then exposed to the spirit of Annabelle Higgins. The medium told Donna and Angie the story of Annabelle. Annabelle was a young girl who lived on the land before the apartments were built. She recalls happy times. She was only 7 years old when her lifeless body was discovered in the area where the apartment complex now resides. The spirit told the medium that she felt safe with Donna and Angie and wished to stay with them and be loved. Feeling compassion for Annabelle and her story, Donna gave her permission to inhabit the doll and stay with them. They quickly discovered that Annabelle was not who she appeared to be. This was no ordinary situation, and certainly no ordinary doll. Lou, a good friend to Donna and Angie, had been with them since the day the doll arrived. Lou had never liked the doll and had warned Donna several times that it was dangerous and that she should get rid of it. Donna had a compassionate tie to the doll, and not giving much credence to Lou's feelings, kept it. Donna's decision, it turns out, was a terrible mistake. Since Annabelle's arrival, Lou often awoke from a deep sleep in panic. A few nights later, he had another recurring bad dream. Only this time, somehow, something seemed different. It was as though he was awake, but couldn't move. He looked around the room, however, couldn't discern anything out of the ordinary, and then it happened. Looking down toward his feet, he saw the doll Annabelle. It began to slowly glide up his leg, moved over his chest, and then stopped. Within seconds, the doll was strangling him. Paralyzed and gasping for breath, Lou, at the point of asphyxiation, blacked out. Lou awoke the next morning, certain it wasn't a dream. Lou was determined to rid himself of that doll and the evil spirit that possessed it. The next day, while preparing for a road trip and looking over some maps, Lou and Angie started to hear some noises coming out of Donna's room. Donna wasn't home. They immediately thought that someone had broken into the apartment. Lou slowly made his way towards the noise, which was coming from behind the closed door of Donna's room. When the noises suddenly stopped, he entered the room and flipped the light on. Nothing. The room was completely empty except for Annabelle, who was laying in the corner of the room. As he started walking closer to the doll, he began to get that feeling that he was being watched. Was there something behind him? He spun around only to find that he was all alone in the room, and that's when Annabelle went to work. Then in a flash, he found himself grabbing for his chest, doubled over, cut and bleeding. His shirt was stained with blood, and upon opening his shirt, there on his chest was what looked to be 7 distinct claw marks, 3 vertically and 4 horizontally. All were hot like burns. These scratches healed almost immediately, half gone the next day, fully gone by day 2. Donna finally was willing to believe the spirit in the house was not that of a young girl, but inhuman and demonic in nature. After Lou's experiences, Donna felt it was time to seek real expert advice and contacted an Episcopal priest named Father Hegan. Father Hegan felt it was a spiritual matter and felt he needed to contact a higher authority in the church, so he contacted Father Cook, who immediately contacted the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine Warren immediately took interest in the case and contacted Donna concerning the doll. The Warrens, after speaking with Donna, Angie, and Lou, came to the immediate conclusion that the doll itself was not in fact possessed, but manipulated by an inhuman presence. Spirits do not possess inanimate objects like houses or toys, they possess people. An inhuman spirit can attach itself to a place or object, and this is what occurred in the Annabelle case. This spirit manipulated the doll and created the illusion of it being alive in order to get recognition. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host. The spirit, or in this case, an inhuman spirit, was essentially in the infestation stage of the phenomenon. It first began moving the doll around the apartment by means of teleportation to arouse the occupants' curiosity in hopes that they would give it recognition. Then, predictably, the mistake of bringing a medium into the apartment to communicate with it. The inhuman spirit, now able to communicate through the medium, preyed on the girl's emotional vulnerabilities by pretending to be a rather harmless, lost young girl with which, during the seance, was allowed permission from Donna to haunt the apartment. It then set about causing patently negative phenomena to occur. It aroused fear through the weird movements of that doll. It brought about the materialization of disturbing handwritten notes, the symbolic drops of blood on the doll, and ultimately it even attacked Lou, leaving behind the symbolic mark of the beast. The next stage of the infestation phenomenon would have been complete human possession. Had these experiences lasted another 2 or 3 more weeks, the spirit would have completely possessed, if not harmed or killed one or all of the occupants in the house. At the conclusion of the investigation, the Warrens felt it appropriate to have a recitation of an exorcism blessing by Father Cook to cleanse the apartment. At Donna's request, and as a further precaution against the phenomena ever occurring in the home again, the Warrens took the big rag doll along with them when they left. Father Cook, although uncomfortable with his role as an exorcist, agreed to perform the 7-page rite of exorcism, a doctrine he repeated throughout the apartment, at which point the Warrens were confident the entity would no longer reside there. They agreed to take the rag doll back home with them. Upon leaving, Ed placed the doll in the back seat and agreed he would not take the interstate in the event the inhuman spirit still resided with the doll. His assumptions were all too accurate. In little time, the Warrens found themselves the target of a terrible animosity. At every hazardous turn, the automobile swerved and stalled, forcing the power steering and brakes to fail. Repeatedly, the car verged on collision. Ed reached into his black bag in the back seat, pulled out a vial of holy water, and bathed the doll with it, making the sign of the cross. The disruptions ceased instantly, and the Warrens returned safely home. When the Warrens returned home, Ed placed the doll in a chair near to his desk. The doll initially levitated many times before appearing to become motionless. In the following weeks, however, it began to appear in various sections of the house. When the Warrens were away and the doll was locked up in the outer office building, they would frequently return to find it resting pleasantly upstairs in Ed's easy chair when they opened the main entrance door. The doll also expressed hostility toward pastors who visited the house. In one instance, Father Jason Bradford, a Catholic exorcist, came to the house. Upon seeing the doll seated in the chair, he picked it up and said, "You're just a rag doll, Annabelle. You can't hurt anyone," and tossed the doll back in the chair, at which point Ed exclaimed, "That's one thing you better not say." Upon leaving an hour later, Lorraine pleaded to the priest to please be careful driving and to call her when he arrived home. Lorraine discerned tragedy for this young priest, but he had to go his way. A few hours later, Father Jason called Lorraine and explained that his brakes had failed as he entered a busy intersection. He was involved in a near-fatal accident, destroying his vehicle. This was just one of many similar occurrences that took place over the next few years. The Warrens had a special case built for Annabelle inside the occult museum, where she resides to this day. Since the case was built, Annabelle no longer appeared to move, but she is thought to be responsible for the death of a young man who came to the museum on motorcycle with his girlfriend. The young man, after hearing Ed's account of the doll, defiantly went up and began to bang on the case, insisting that if the doll can put scratches on people, then he wanted to also be scratched. Ed said to the young man, "Son, you need to leave," and put him out of the building. On the way home, the young man and his girlfriend were laughing and making fun of the doll when he lost control of his motorcycle and went head-on into a tree. The young man was killed instantly, but his girlfriend survived and was hospitalized for over a year. When asked what happened, the young woman explained that they were laughing about the doll when they lost control of the motorcycle. Ed warns you do not challenge evil, that no man is more powerful than the demonic. There it is. The true story behind The Conjuring's Annabelle doll. Of all the stories I've covered, this has to be the scariest. Is there any real truth behind it though? That's no doubt the big question surrounding Annabelle's story, and unfortunately, we'll probably never know the answer to it. Do you believe in such things? Do you think a child's doll like Annabelle can harness the evil of a dark and evil spirit? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit the bell to get notified when new videos are uploaded. If you're interested in more haunting stories covering the Warrens, be sure to check out my other videos, A Haunting in Connecticut and the terrifying story of the Smurl family haunting. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen.